and its members for the heated exchanges and lack of decorum that characterized the vetting of the Chief Justice nominee on Monday. Now, while assuring them of Parliament's continued respect, he has directed the leadership of the Appointments Committee to take notice of the vetting incident and ensure that highest standards of civility and institutional respect is observed in all future proceedings.
And the judiciary is independent of control or direction from any person or authority. The doctrine of separation of powers requires that all three arms of government, the executive, legislature, and judiciary, relate to one another with mutual respect and restraint. Consequently, I have directed the leadership of the Appointments Committee to take note of this incident and to ensure that in all future proceedings, the highest standards of civility, objectivity, and institutional respect are maintained. Honorable members, Parliament cherishes the long-standing spirit of cooperation and mutual regard between our institutions. We must remain committed to strengthening that relationship in the collective service of the people of Ghana and the protection of our constitutional democracy. Honorable members, once again, on your behalf, I extend our deepest apologies and assurances of Parliament's continued respect for the judiciary and its esteemed members. I want to assure all of you that I'll come back on this issue of decency, discipline, and decorum. And this time, I'm coming with the hammer, not the gavel. I thank you for your attention.
Well, you just heard the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. He's been apologizing to the judiciary and the members of the judiciary for the heated exchanges that transpired yesterday at the Chief Justice nominee's vetting. Meanwhile, the Majority Leader, Mahama Ayari, has petitioned the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, to refer the Minority Leader, Afenyo-Markin, to the Privileges Committee for allegedly defying a parliamentary resolution that removed him from Ghana's delegation to the ECOWAS Parliament. According to the Boku Central MP, the ECOWAS Parliament initially declined to swear in Ghana's delegation after Afenyo-Markin appeared in Port Harcourt despite his replacement on the team. He explained that the impasse was only resolved after Ghana threatened to withdraw completely from ECOWAS. Now, in a petition submitted to the Speaker, to Mr. Ayari, he described the minorities leader's conduct as a breach of parliamentary privilege and called for disciplinary action. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has acknowledged receipt of the petition and indicated that he would deliver a ruling on the matter on Wednesday. And this takes us to Parliament again.
Yeah, so let's speak to Christian Yali, who's our parliamentary correspondent. Christian, good evening. Thank you for joining us. First of all, what was the reaction after Speaker apologized on behalf of the MPs to the judiciary? What was their body language? Was it something they expected, or they were taken by surprise by the Speaker's apology?
Martin, they weren't taken by surprise, because then the expectation is that once some of those incidents take place, backdoor at conclave, Speaker gets the briefing and gets to know exactly what happened. And just like he had indicated yesterday, he received a delegation earlier before the vetting process began, and so he could not witness the early part of the vetting that resulted in this fiery objections and exchanges between the two leaders. And so, taking notice of that, or having taken notice to that, he then proceeded to make the formal communication. And as you know, Martin, always when the House begins certain for the very first time in the week like this, it is expected that the Speaker would, read any formal communication from the President or from any other authority or from himself. So that was actually expected. Maybe if there is any surprise at all, then it should be that some of them wouldn't expect him to immediately react to that which happened. But indeed, the issue in and of itself and how it has generated conversation is not surprising to the members. And so the Speaker's communication and his apology to the judiciary and his directive that he is going to begin to crack the whip by coming back, quote, with a hammer and not a gavel is one that we expect.
Well, I'm tempted to say, but for fear of being held to the Privileges Committee, I'm tempted to say that this caution by the Speaker or warning is one too many and that action is expected. You recall that when the earlier vetting chaos happened, there were similar warnings. Again, backdoor negotiations got all of us to be surprised that no concrete action was taken. And now this caution again, maybe it's a bit is one too many, but I'm hoping the Speaker is not listening so they wouldn't hold me before the committee. But talk to us about the concern about the minority leader being the suggestions that he should be held before the Privileges Committee for flouting a specific order. Many thought this had been resolved, no?
Yes, so it was partly resolved earlier in July when this whole delegation issue came up. In fact, when the decision or resolution was taken by the House to amend the list, the minority leader wasn't around during that time when the resolution was made that his name be dropped and that of the deputy minority leader, Patricia Piaget, be replaced with his. And so consequentially, we know that it resulted in a long debate. It took a number of days to come to a resolution, but indeed, the expectation was that this change or amendment to the delegation list was made to him, or he was aware that the list or delegation of MPs from Ghana to the ECOWAS Parliament has been amended and his name has been removed, which I know that he is very much aware, because subsequently in one of the days he was in the chamber when that final communication or that final conversation was had about it. And so to the majority leader, it is pretty much surprising to have seen the minority leader attend an ECOWAS Parliament meeting when he shouldn't ordinarily, also because that his name has been taken out of the delegation list. And so it is upon which that he raises an issue based on, at least when you check the Standing Order 34 as well as Standing Order 35, which two, copiously spell out actions that amount to breach of parliamentary privileges, and wants the Speaker to carefully look at the issue and if possibly refer him to the Privileges Committee. You were earlier afraid of being brought before that committee, but Mahama Ayari wants Alexander Afenyo-Markin to be sent to the Privileges Committee to be interrogated on this issue, and if found culpable, the preferred sanctions be leveled against him.
All right. Thank you, Christian Yali, for that report from the House. I'm sure the House is still sitting, so subsequently he will bring us updates of what's happening in Parliament. Christian Yali is our parliamentary correspondent. But let's stay on the subject and now engage Professor David Abdullahi, who is a senior governance analyst and consultant. Prof, thank you for your time. I'm sure you've heard what the Speaker said, where he is apologizing on behalf of the legislators to the judiciary, especially because of the conduct we all saw yesterday. Is it a step in the right direction, you think, that the leader of Parliament, being the Speaker, going to say sorry for the behavior of my workers or my staff or my team?
Absolutely. That is a mark of leadership, because you can, if you watch the yesterday's vetting, you could see that most of the top Supreme Court judges were there, and in Parliament, whether it was just a minority and his caucus, they never behaved well. I mean, whatever it is, you don't wash your dirty linen outside. So I could read from the face of the judges that were there that they were disgusted, but of course they wouldn't be able to say anything. Now, there should be that cordiality in working between the judiciary and the legislature as well as the executive, because we need all these arms of government to be able to make sure that our development moves forward as well as our democracy moves forward. So some of the things the minority leader was saying, for example, when he was being challenged by the majority leader, saying that, no, you cannot say some things that are going to, impede upon the reputation of others. I think you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to repeat them because the word is nice.
Yes.
And if he was given the opportunity to say that, look, these are the rules, please don't break the rules. These are the standing orders. You could have patched it in a different way. When he started by putting when you go to our traditional houses, the chiefs, even if they're going to say something that is direct, they say it they couch it in a proverb or something that would at least get the message across. And I expected him to be able to have done that without jeopardizing what has happened. So I support the Speaker for apologizing to, the members of the Supreme Court who were there.
Right. And is this apology? So yes, the apology you agree with and endorse.
Yes.
But what do you make of the fact that there are those who think this is one too many, and that the misbehavior of some members of Parliament should actually be met with hard action than just rhetoric and, advice? Because this is not the first time. In fact, this same appointments committee shocked the country with their behavior when the tables were flying left, right, center. And there were the high expectations of concrete action and sanctions. But again, we didn't see anything like that. So if the Speaker is now saying that, I apologize, however, I'm going to come back with a hammer, which means it's going to be a bit more tougher. It's a bit too late in the day, and people may not necessarily be excited about that.
Well, you should understand that if he doesn't do the right thing, Parliament is going to be gradually losing its reputation amongst the Ghanaian populace. They are watching day in and out, and they are disgusted. I've always said that, someone like the minority leader should be really hauled before the Privileges Committee, and if it is, make sure that the sanctions are heavy. We saw what he did when he was majority leader. He marched his people out on some of the occasions. So at the end of the day, I don't think this should carry on. When you say you are going to deliver on the constitutional duty and you show up, which is good, but you never did anything. You just came to give a little bit of talk here and there and make sure that the world sees you trying to act in a certain way. I don't think that is right. If you are a leader, there are sometimes you have to bite your tongue and make sure that you take the right decisions. And he could have played along nicely, but yet get his questions through by asking the nominee tough questions. That would have exposed a lot of things for everybody to know. What he has done now, actually, they are the ones who have lost. They have lost the opportunity in a democracy to be able to ask tough questions. And I think, I support this idea that they should be punished and punished very well. They are lawmakers. They shouldn't be the same ones breaking laws. So I do agree. I think on this your platform, I have mentioned earlier that they are going to walk out. And I think probably people didn't believe, but there had been a trajectory of the way they act. I mean, what else are you going to expect from people like that? We're talking about people like Anodam and others. They were there. Right. But they do understand that if they don't show up, they themselves, their credibility is going to be on the line because you were not there to do parliamentary work. What were you there for?
Right. Right.
So, honestly, I don't know, but some of us who are much older, we tend to think that a lot of things in this country, in my opinion, can be more like akin to a toothless bulldog. We can always back, but we don't bite.
We don't bite.
bite.
And so that's actually the concern I was, raising earlier, which is that the Speaker seems to have consistently backed at bad behavior of members of Parliament, but hasn't been able to bite. So should it be our expectation that the kind of caution he has given now, he actually will bite if he says he's going to come back with a hammer?
Well, let's see whether it's going to be a wooden hammer or a metal hammer. Because if it's a wooden hammer, it can break. Yeah. He must come out with an iron hammer. Yeah. Some issues are there, you don't approach them with kid gloves. And I think he should do that if he wants us to really have faith in our parliament and parliamentarians. Wasn't it one of the parliamentarians who said that he was going to resign because a certain party won? Did he resign?
He didn't.
And what happened to him?
Yeah, nothing happened.
So that's what I'm saying. So I expect that the Speaker will come with a metal hammer.
Metal hammer, steel hammer. Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor David Abdullahi, for your time and thoughts as always. He is a senior governance advisor and also speaking on developments from Parliament. Yesterday's vetting, the initial stages were marred with a back and forth of argument and debate. And in as much as people praised the fact that was a way of consolidating our democracy where even opposing voices are allowed to express themselves, there are those who thought that it was becoming one too many and was an affront to the kind of positive democracy we wanted to put out as a country on the continent. So again, the expectations on the Speaker to deal with this decisively is still high. We'll see what the coming days hold for the kinds of sanctions expected from